sometimes if I come here, I can be carried and start teaching. If it's not recorded and you are here, that's why we are representing a class rep. Is you are representing for the interest of the class, to make sure that everything is done the way it's supposed to be. In this, you should be my 2IC, you know, although you are not getting paid because I told you that it's a free service. Yeah. So you choose to do that. So you have to do it very well.
Yes, sir.
So the benefits, if you do well, you can get a job, or if I see a job, I can recommend you based on my experience, my personal experience with you. But if you fall my hand, I'll just go to, if you ever ask me for it, based on, I'll say that I know how, but I can't vouch for her. All right, the session is on recording. So let's get started. Okay, we are going to start with Gantt charts. So because the critical part lies, Gantt chart is another way of trying to explain the project scheduling. We can combine it with critical path method. So that's why I'm bringing in, we've done Gantt chart, but I'm bringing it so that we can refresh our memory on it. I try to share my full screen, but I'm struggling. So I have to share only my my tab, my window here. So I couldn't share my whole screen. So with if you go to Gantt chart, if you go to your project label, if you open it, you will see Gantt chart. Gantt chart, if you look at that Gantt chart, you see all the red as it's flowing. All the red flowing down is called critical path. These are critical path, areas that we cannot compromise. We can't delay in any of those tasks within the critical area. Because once any of those tasks is delayed, it's going to affect the overall project. Almost everything in that our project is in critical path because all of them have dependencies depending on each other. They're all in the critical path. So we can't afford to delay any tax or play around with any tax. It's not because it's going to affect overall project. Yeah. But in a situation where there are areas called slack, in those slack areas, we didn't capture slack in our first project in Gantt charts, the one we use in project. We didn't capture any slack. But in a situation where there is slack, we can afford to delay, some activities within the slack, and it's not still going to affect any way we are managing the project. So Gantt charts is a visual timeline that shows every task in a project, when each task starts, when each task finish, when tasks depend on each task, when tasks depend on other tasks, and overall project progress. So with the Gantt chart, we can see that. So I hope we are following with what Gantt chart. We all know what Gantt chart is. If you go to Project Labor, you know where Gantt chart is. Who doesn't know where Gantt chart is in Project Labor? Yeah, all of us know where Gantt chart is. Where in Gantt chart, you see where start and finish. You see a chart showing red line, linking each other, flow. I can call it a flow, a task flow. So think of it as a calendar that allow everyone to see what works need to be done and when. Gantt chart answers questions such as what work should be happening today, what tasks have already been completed, and what tasks are still outstanding. Is there any project ahead or behind the schedule? If you cannot see my screen, then log out and log in again. It might be network, because if my screen is not showing, I know, because I can see it. I know when my screen is showing or not showing. So why is Gantt chart important? Without Gantt chart, team members may not know what to work on. Tasks may be forgotten. Deadline may be missed. Project managers cannot easily monitor progress. With Gantt charts, everyone understands the project schedule. Dependencies are clearly visible, and delays can be identified early. Progress can be monitored easily. So in the Gantt chart, we have tasks, we have timeline, we have bars, we have milestone, we have dependencies, and we have progress. Yeah, it's just like me repeating what we've done because we've passed through all these things, but it's just to refresh our memory. So simple example, if you look at this example, say gathering requirements, 3 days, designing website, 4 days, develop website, 10 days, test website, 5 days, deploy website, 2 days. So in Gantt charts, this can be displayed as tasks and duration like this, and every other things will appear. So, and you can see this, they are all linked to each other, they are dependent on each other. So the first step, list all the tasks just like we've done before, and then estimate how long each task will take. We've done estimation. Everybody should know how to estimate using parts we did yesterday. So we can apply paths to do the estimation and then identify dependencies. You can see here requirements. Design is depending on when the requirement is finished. Requirement gathering and requirement analysis is finished. So once we finish the requirement, then we move to design. So it means that design requirement is a predecessor to design or dependency, meaning that design is depending on requirement to finish before it can start. Then we'll have design. Design is a predecessor to development. The team need to finish designing before any development work can take place. And we can see test development to testing, meaning that there can be no testing until after the team finishes development. And deployment, meaning there cannot be any deployment till after we cannot do any deployment till after testing the platform. So this is how it flows. Yeah, we've done this already. Yeah. So we equally have start to finish and duration. That is the timeline. And we can see the progress, we can see completed tasks and revised dates if there is delay. Once there is a progress, if there is a delay in a life when the project plan becomes live, when there is delay, if somebody fails to complete what they're supposed to do, it will show red. So it always show indicator there is delay, or any delayed activity we flag off with red color by the activity. So benefits of using Gantt charts: easy to understand, improve communication, show project timeline early, track progress, highlight delay, identify milestones, improve resource planning, support better decision making. So, and that will bring us to critical path method, which is the main topic for today. So what is critical path? Don't call it critical path analysis. It can be called critical path method, CPM. Critical path method is a project scheduling technique used to determine the longest sequence of tasks, of dependent tasks. The longest sequence that must be completed on time for the entire project to finish on schedule. That longest sequence, if anything happens on that longest sequence, it can jeopardize the project duration, the closing timeline of that project. The sequence is called critical path. Call it critical because what is critical in a project, like from what we've been doing, we understand, we see during the risk management, we talk about critical, we talk about high risk, we talk about moderate risk, we talk about that is medium risk, we talk about low risk. So critical is the highest aspect of risk. Just like in project, in this project planning, it helps us to identify the highest aspect of risk in project planning. Areas we need to watch closely. Area that don't need to leak, like in a game, football now. There are areas that you don't play with. Yeah. defense can never be porous. Even if you are scoring many goals and your defense is porous, you find out that you score goal and you conceive goal. So you are not just scoring and keep conceiving goals. So so defense is a critical area that needs to be sealed. Attack is another area that need to be consolidated, because if your defense is very, very strong, yeah, meaning that but you cannot score goal as well. It's going to be difficult for you to win. So these two areas need to be sealed, just like in projects. Yeah, no matter what's happening in the midfield, these two areas need to be highly consolidated. Here in project, identify the critical parts and you are going to be safe. It's a single sequence of activity. Like the one we've done already, you look at it, there are no other sequence of activity, meaning that we'll have only one part. We don't have two parts, only one part. If we have two parts, it's going to be critical parts and non-critical parts. And in the non-critical part, we have what we call slag. So even if you are slagging, you can still complete on time. Just like if in a football, if your defense is very good and your attacking force is very good, your midfield can be a bit sluggish, yeah, but you can still win based on these two areas that I've secured very well. So the importance, identify most important tasks, focus attention on activities that affect the project completion date, allocate resources effectively, reduce project delay, understand which tasks have scheduling flexibility. These are the importance of critical tasks or critical parts. Key terms, we have activity. Activity is a piece of work. We can call it a task or activity. Yeah. So in a project, when you say activity, it's either they say activity / task or activity or task. So it's a piece of work in a project. Dependency is relationship between two tasks. And then critical part, the longest sequence of dependent tasks. And then we have float. Float is the amount of time a task can be delayed without delaying the entire project. And you call it float or slack. So that is it. Example, a task has 3 days of float. This means it can start up to 3 days later without affecting the project completion date. So creating a critical part lists all the project activities. These are the project activities, you list them and their duration, and you create a predecessor, identify predecessor. So in this one, you see A is an activity. It doesn't have any predecessor. B is an activity. It doesn't have any predecessor. Yeah, it can happen. This is in a situation where we can have float or slack, where we have 2 or more activities that doesn't have predecessor, that doesn't depend on any particular activity. if you go to work, our work breakdown structure, you can identify some activities that can actually stand on its own. Activity like risk management or RAID. So you can start your risk anytime. You can even start it from the day one you are starting, because risk is everywhere in a project. You can decide to wait till there are activities before you start your risk management. So for instance, if you are designing a website now, risk management you can do your risk. For instance, here, looking at this activities here. Let's look at these activities here, this website. You see here, we can add activity like a RAID meeting. In this, you see that you can have RAID meeting. RAID meeting will not stop. RAID meeting does not depend on requirement gathering. It might not depend on designing. It might not depend on development. It might not depend on testing or deployment. It can stand alone on itself. While the RAID is going on, we can still be doing, as a matter of fact, we can do requirement gathering the same day the team is doing the RAID. Somebody who is doing the risk analysis and somebody is starting requirement gathering the same time. For instance, we'll have somebody called the risk manager here. The risk manager can start his own time and start his own work while the business analyst is doing requirement analysis. So such activities can work hand in hand, not depending on each other. But there are no way web designers or UI designers can start designing a website if the requirement analysis is not completed. Because requirement analysis will help us understand all the features that website needs to have. So we need to understand the features before we can start designing. So that's why design has to depend on requirement to finish. And there is no way developers can start development without a full design. They need to see a full design of the work they need to start. And there's no way you can start testing what is not developed. It's after development, they say, yes, we'll finish developing, then you carry out testing. And if you deploy without testing, that can be a very big embarrassment. You know, deploying completed work to the public and everybody will be identifying fault bug everywhere. So you have to carry out a full testing before you deploy. So you see, that is critical part. That's how to identify it. So meaning we can have a slag, and that's where we started trying to slag, like identify if we add risk management in that sequence of activities, that can become a float in that whole sequence. So how do we create CPM sequence? Step one, list all the project activities. These are the project activities. Two, identify predecessors. Now we have identified the predecessors. And now we see with this, we'll have start, then we'll have A, activity A, depends on no predecessor. and activity B depends on no predecessor as well. And we see activity C have got a predecessor, and activity D have got a predecessor as well. So, but what we are going to do here is to determine the longest path. Yeah, that's what the critical part is. We'll determine what is the longest path to completing this work. So, for us to determine the longest path, we say part A is start A to C to finish, which is the duration is 4 and 3, and that is 7 days. So, and then we'll see activity or part 2. This is part 2. Part 2 goes this way: start B, D, finish. And under this, we'll have part B is 5 days, and part D, sorry, task B is 5 days, and task D is 6 days. So if we plus them, it gives us 11 days. Under critical path method, you say the longest duration. So 11 days here is higher than 7 days. That does what it means that part B should be the critical part in this project. So identify the longest part, since part 1 is 11 days and part 2 is, part 1 is 7 days and part 2 is 11 days. The critical part is start B, D, finish, which is the project duration is 11 days. So that is 11 days, meaning that we should pay attention on part 2 because it has a longer duration. Anything that affected it will affect the completion date of this project. So let's have another look using earlier part activities. So you see this, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And we have the predecessor like this. A and B do not have any predecessor, meaning that A and B can start simultaneously. Yeah. So this is the network diagram. This is the possible part of completing this. We can start from A, start A, C, D, G, finish. We only have another part, which is A, B, F. Then we have another part, which is B. These are the part duration. Under part 1, we have A, C, E, G. This is the dependencies. And when you calculate their durations, we have 19.5 days. Then part 2 is A, B, F. When you calculate it, we'll have 14 days, 14.8 days. And then we'll have part 3, which is B, EG. And if you calculate it, we have 15.767 or 7 days. So the critical part we are looking at should be on the longest sequence, which is 19 days. So which is ACEG. So according to this activity table, E depends only on E. This is E, depends only on B and C. F depends only on D. There is no dependency for there's no dependency between E and F here. There's no dependency. So the relationship, that's why the relationship is here, because you see here, A and B can start simultaneously. E and F can start simultaneously. Yeah, so that is it. And that's why we'll have it. So with that, we'll have 3 critical parts. The first critical part should be in red. The second critical part should be in blue. Another dependency, another non-critical, the second, which is non-critical part, should be in blue. B to E is another dependency feeding E, which should be in blue. So the first is the critical part, if we're meant to identify. So that is it. That is the longest route. You see here, start A, C, E, G, and finish. So that is the critical part. And then the slack or the float. Not every activity is critical. Some activities can be delayed without affecting the project finish date. These activities have a float. Example, activity B has approximately 4 days of float. This means it can start up to 4 days later without delaying the overall project. Similarly, activity D and F have available float, meaning they can be delayed within their float limit without changing the final completion date. So these are things we should understand. Where from when we are starting, I just use simple activity as a beginner. If it's one sequence, which is critical. But as we're advancing in project management, we are going to meet more complex activities, where a lot of activities are going to be starting simultaneously. 2 people can start their work simultaneously. It's not depending on my work and your work. I don't need to get input from your work for me to do my work. So in such areas, we need to identify the critical parts and monitor them, because that's where problem always starts emerging from those critical area. Looking at Gantt charts and the critical path method, these are two tools that will help us in project management, more especially project planning. The Gantt chart, the primary purpose is for visual scheduling and time of activity. Yes. Yeah, this is what Gantt chart help us. And the critical parts, the main purpose of critical part is to determine the longest sequence of critical parts. And the main output of critical parts is the project to identify critical path and project duration. Yeah. Gantt chart is very easy. For us who are beginners, it's very easy to use it to understand the project timeline, project scheduling. Our critical part is when we start advancing, it's important we understand how to apply critical parts because it's very, very important. There is critical Gantt chart help you to understand the progress, but critical part, the work is not to help you understand the progress. It helps you to understand, identify risk, not to understand the progress. Both of them help you to identify dependencies. Both of them equally help you to identify critical areas. It's just that I struggle to share my entire screen. But we already have, all of us have a project planner. If you go to your Gantt chart, if you go to your project label, you see the critical areas with a bar flowing. The Gantt chart does not have anything to do, it can't calculate your float, but with critical part, you should be able to understand and calculate your float very well. Floats are the areas that can be delayed. So use critical Gantt chart for project monitoring and use critical path for project scheduling and analysis. So analyzing your project and understanding the risk. So the summary is that Gantt chart is a visual timeline that shows project activities, duration, and dependencies. But the critical part identifies the longest sequence of dependent activities that determines the project completion date. Activities on the critical part have zero floats. What do we mean that you have zero floats? It can be compromised. You cannot delay any activity in area that will have critical parts and must finish on time. So when you identify critical part, this is where you need to pay extreme attention as a project manager. You don't play around. You don't make friends within your project team with critical parts. It's not condonable when somebody is playing around any activity in critical parts. In area like floats, yes, it can be condoned. Like say, we can delay our raid meeting. We can say, okay, we didn't have raid meeting. No, we can say, we can start raid meeting maybe next week. Yeah. So raid is important. So it's something that can be delayed. Yeah. But you cannot delay activity like requirement gathering and requirement analysis. If you are delaying it, there are people earning salaries already. And they need to start their own work immediately. As a matter of fact, they already have a time for that. So if you are delaying it, you are delaying other activities. And you are delaying other activities, there are people earning salaries there. So as you are delaying it, the company keep paying money for those people waiting to start, and they are not starting. So, but these two can be worked together. That's why I'm combining the class together. Gantt chart and critical path help project manager plan, monitor, and deliver project accurately. Yeah. Let me see if I can share my full screen again. So I can pull this. If I can pull this my project label. So we'll look at live. I'll try to share my screen again because I want to pull my project label. If it's not working, then we can leave it. All of you have project label already. So I think is better now. So you see here, you see all of them are depending on each other here. You see these, they're all critical parts. Okay. Okay, if we want to say these two activities, we can decide that identifying stakeholder and project kickoff can start the same day. This is how we can start creating a Slack. And for instance, if we come here and insert project risk management, here, you find out that project charter and the RAID meeting can start simultaneously without any of them. So this is where we can have this kind of activities. Yeah, but it's going to, well, it means we're going to start this project. We want to have a situation like that. It's going to affect the whole project plan we have built already. We're going to restart afresh, restructure it. If we need to start creating slacks, activities that can stand on their own without depending on any activity, but we can have activities standing on their own. But if we need to do that, all this whole activity, we need to rearrange it. Yeah, but in this particular project plan, we do not have, the point is we do not have any slack, but we can have slack, we can rearrange it and have slack in it. So in this area, we have only one critical part, meaning that no activity in this project can be delayed. We don't have any delay. As you see, everything here in this chart is showing red. Red signifies the critical task. The critical task. As you can see, everything is showing in red. We can't delay any of them because all of them are critical tasks. So that is it. We don't have time to start restructuring it, to start fixing, because once we do it, we need to start adding all these predecessors. We will have to start afresh and just like rebuilding the whole project plan afresh. But that's the difference. If we have slack, that is the main purpose of critical part, understand the longest duration and areas that we don't need to play. Tasks that cannot be delayed. Every task here cannot be delayed. That is the purpose. If we go to network, on our network, you can see the network showing everything here. You can see it, they are called its critical parts. You see it, the network. You see it, it cannot be delayed. And you see the duration of everything. So they're all critical. Every of them are waiting for their predecessor to finish. You see this one is finishing on 26th of February, and as it's finishing on 25th, you see another one is starting on 27. This one is starting on 27. Just a day. Immediately this one is finishing, this one is starting. So this particular activity, kickoff meeting, whoever is working on kickoff meeting has received a notification that your work is starting on so day. So whatever you are doing, you must make yourself available. If it comes on that day and you find out that this stakeholder identification is not finished, it's already started affecting this particular kickoff meeting, which is supposed to. So if this delays by one day, is going to affect this particular project, because the person doing kickoff meeting needs some feedback from identification of stakeholders in order to do this. So any delay affects this, and any delay affects requirement gathering. You see, all of them are connected. So that's what we mean. There are no zero tolerance, no float, no zero floats on critical areas. They must finish when they are supposed to finish so that another team can start. Automatically, if this is meant to finish in 40 days, if you miss this, then it means it's going to be 41 days. If you miss this, it's going to be 41 days. If this one was supposed to finish by 27, 26 is now finishing on 27, is now pushing our project's timeline. Meanwhile, sliding into scope creep. So that is it. So that is, this is the last time we're going to deal on this project planning. I think we'll spend a lot of time trying to understand this project planning. So I hope I tried as much as we can as beginners to understand it very well. So we are going to proceed to another thing in our next session. So thank you. I'm wrapping up everything in project planning with this critical path analysis. If you have a question, you can ask your question. Okay. Another important announcement before we go. As from next week or within this week, I will discuss with some the program manager in our autonomous community platform to start profiling us for internship. So we'll start it immediately. We're going to start profiling us immediately. And yeah, the autonomous community, our mobile application came out today. So I'm reviewing the mobile app. So there are some bugs already I'm fixing, but it's out already. So we are progressing. So yeah. Okay. Madam Obonna, so you are raising your hand. Okay. Thank you everyone, and you are going to see the activities. Mainly going to be our onboarding activities for our internship. And for any class, I'm going to talk to people uploading the videos as well to do their work, and I'll probably make sure that all the videos can be accessed through our portal again. We are doing it, there's a lot of work going on even in our portal, so but we can still access it via YouTube. But very soon we'll tidy all the work we have here, and yeah. Okay, Aisha, you've got anything to say?
Thank you very much for today's class. In regards to the YouTube, when I checked the YouTube, I saw that it has over 400 plus views. So I want to be sure that is it that people that are not in the class, or is it previous members of the community that have access to it, or people outside this community have access to it? I said, let me be clear on that, sir.
400, what got that? What does that supposed to mean? What has the view of YouTube got to do with?
Why I'm asking, like we, if we are in the class and we are the students, if outsiders have access to it, free access to the class, some people will say they don't need to pay again. Since the videos are on YouTube, you can watch from day one to the end, and you have the knowledge. As same with somebody that paid. I wanted to be sure if it's from within the community or people outside the
You
community.
know how YouTube is being managed. In YouTube, you have public, we have private, we have unlisted. Any of us here, do any of us know how YouTube is being managed? So you can have your YouTube video without it. It's private. People can pay. There are so many. They say just because I choose to manage my own with my website, because my website is officially my office. People tend to respect what I can choose to have on my videos on YouTube, and I give access to those who I want to give access. Like there's a lot of movies in YouTube. You pay for it before you can have access. Do you know that? Yeah, so you have access because I give you the link. I pasted the link. So that's why you have access to it. Moreover, if I choose to make it free, it's my product. It doesn't have any, if I collect money from you and make it free for others, I'm not liable, I have no explanation to you. I decide to do with whatever. The main thing is I've deployed what you pay for, you are getting the service you paid for. You have no right to question how or whom I give access. University can give scholarship to anybody they want, whether you pay 1 million. Some people are getting it free. It's not your business. You have no right to query. So I'm just explaining because I want to explain, because I do not owe you any explanation who have access to that video. Are you getting my point? If I choose, I can make all my classes free and decide to collect money from you, and you cannot do anything about it. If you want to join YouTube and watch others free, good and fine.
Yeah. Well understood.
So that is it. But know that you are not our students. Anybody who is watching from YouTube is not our students. We cannot give you reference. There's a lot of things we cannot give you. So that should not be a headache. And as a matter of fact, what you paid is too small to complain. You just paid 50,000, which is 20 pounds, compared to the cost of 2,000 pounds. The price of this bootcamp is 2,000 pounds. And you paid 20 pounds. So you shouldn't be worried, because I'm already give it to you free. Any more question? Antonia Agabi.
So I've said what I wanted to say. I just typed it in the message. It's the same
No,
thing.
say it. Don't say it so everybody will hear what you want to say.
Okay, I was going to just add to what Aisha said. Some of us watch those videos multiple times. So most times I get to watch and I watch it half because of work and all of that. So I keep going back and going back to go and watch one video. And it happens with every other video. And yes, according to what Sir said, some of these videos are kept private for YouTube and more of that.
So why are you disturbed that other people are getting it free, even if I decide to make it free and you paid? Why? Is it going to stop you from getting job? We should more liberal. Let me tell you, we should be more. I taught this class for 2 years before I started charging people. I taught more than 5,000 people free before I started collecting anything. I charge my students here in UK £2,000 and they pay with happiness. And I put Nigerians, free Nigerian class, a lot of them on that class. And Nigerians will be getting it free. While some people pay 2,000 in the same class, they enjoy the same resources. That's the way I choose. If you're not happy with my leadership, don't recommend me to any other person. I'm a very blunt person. When I want to do my thing, is my thing. As long as I'm not infringing on your rights or taking advantage of you, I don't care. If you go to Udemy as well, there are so many free courses there. You can go watch it free. There are so many paid ones there. Good and fine. If you feel you are no longer happy because some people are getting it for free, good and fine, you can leave. I have other sources of income. Even this place collapse, I'll still earn as long as I'm doing the right thing. The right thing is that I've never been to this class late. I've never said I'm going to do anything, I don't do it. And I make sure that people keep on getting job. I've already deployed CV worth of 500 or 400 pounds free. So we should be happy. We shouldn't be thinking of it's being petty. And I don't like it. You know, if others are getting it free and you are paying for it, it's none of your business.
The reason I asked is not being petty. The reason why I asked this question, I want to know if there are other communities, whether it's a community. That was the question. It's not about maybe because I paid for it and why should others access it for free. That's not the reason. Okay. That's not the reason why I asked, sir.
Okay. No problems. Okay. John Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. It's not that I have question. I just want to comment on what Aisha said. I said in that aspect, we as your students, we don't have the right to ask such questions because even those people that are watching it from outside, they don't have the benefit of what we are going to build. For instance, now, internship, somebody watching the video from outside, there's no way the person will have access or opportunity of your internship. He can be watching the video, it's not our business, but the internship, the person doesn't have access to it. So I don't think that one should be our concern or any issue. That's what I want to say, sir.
Okay, thank you. The main purpose is that are you getting value for your money? That is what you should be thinking of. Every class you attended, do you get any value for it? Cumulatively, are you getting value for the boot camp? value for our money.
Yeah.
That is what we should be.
Yeah.
And this boot camp lead me to my promised land. That should be your priority. Yeah. I choose to record it because I choose to record it so that we will have something to go and rewatch and rewatch. We are paying millions of money going to university. How many of us have access to our class in the university? Recorded version of our lecture in the university? How many of us? None of us. How many of us get free lecture notes? Your lecturer give you lecture notes. You don't. You pay for it as handouts. Some of them is textbook. You pay for it. And we're happy. And that thing they are doing could not even get us a job after 4 to 5 years. And we're still happy with them. So, like I said, I owe nobody any explanation, and don't ask me that kind of question again. And I'm not doing it to, I'm not doing it, Lou, I'm not doing it to grow my YouTube, that page has been there for it is, I don't promote my page because that is not my main purpose. I'm not a content creator. I'm a content creator. If you go to Facebook, you see me talking everywhere. You will not see me. Not because I cannot, not that those who are creating content are more handsome than me, they have a better face, or they can talk more than me. No, it's not. It's because that is not my thing. So I'm not using this class to create content by recording it and putting it on YouTube. Because if I should be using it for content, even if I use it for content, you will still come because you need the internship. Yeah. So the kind of product that I produce is a product that even my enemy, you don't have choice. You have to come and buy it because you need it. Even if you don't like me. That is I can be arrogant at times, but I'll make sure I go extra mile to produce what my enemies will need. And that is me. So if you decide not to join my class, you can join me somewhere at a higher rate, and they will not still give you what I can give you as the way I do things. Anyway, Aisha, you are still my friend. I'm not fighting with you. You're my top babe in this class, and nobody can take it away from you. So I hope you please my son smiley. See, she's not smiling. All right. Thank you, everyone. And be ready for your internship. Rebecca, sorry, after Rebecca, I don't want to, Emmanuel, everybody, okay, Rebecca, talk, so Emmanuel will talk. So that's we'll circle, Rebecca, yes? I saw you raise
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. And thank you very much for the class. Although the first one is just a concern, this critical path analysis is it's difficult for me a bit. So I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really get it clear. But I believe I'll watch the video as soon as it's being uploaded. I'll watch it over and over to get a clearer understanding. And also, I believe because what Aisha said, when I saw it too, I just had similar questions in my mind. But I don't think she's trying to question you for allowing people to see it. Because I wanted to ask that same question as well. Like I just want to know if it is private or public because the number of viewers there are more than what we are right now. So just wanted to confirm if there are other people out
there. I've not even checked the number of viewers self. Maybe I will go and
that's just busy. That's just wanted to know if
maybe my
it's just
class
us
is
or maybe other past
private.
students too. That's just it, nothing.
Okay. So, okay. Thank you for your comments. compliments. Emmanuel Fred.
Yes, sir. Greetings, Mr. Charles. Sorry, my background is dark. I cannot use video. I just want to call your attention to a question in the chat box. There is a question someone dropped, and I feel it's necessary to address it.
No, I've made it clear that you should be able to talk to me, not a drop-in chat. If
Okay,
that person,
anybody,
you know your ability, you don't read it out. Anybody in this class, you should be able to ask me question. If you cannot ask me
sir,
question,
there is a situation.
Somebody have registered. I have a situation. Somebody registered my class, and the person told me that it's having the person said that she was a dump and deaf, and so I know how I communicate with that person. But in a situation where you are not a dump and you are not a deaf, you should be able to talk to me. If you cannot talk to me,
no, the lady is saying she's having difficulties activating her microphone to speak.
Then she can go and talk it out and come back. I don't know. Everybody, we are here so that people can be outspoken. As a project manager, you should be able to speak. If you're having difficulties, sort yourself out. Yes.
All right.
So, that is it.
So allow your daughter to say hello to us.
Huh?
Allow your daughter to say hello. She's trying to say hello to us and you're holding her hand.
Okay. His name is Sam.
Okay, it's a boy.
He's Sam, and he's 2 years. Sam, say hello.
Hi,
he's so funny.
Wow, it looks so much like you, sir.
Hello, Sam.
Yes, it looks so much like
say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Our little lecturer.
The business analyst.
Oh, yeah. You can go now. Yeah?
One of our stakeholders.
Yes.
Yes, one of the stakeholders.
Who said that?
For information, my father was a teacher.
Wow.
No wonder.
The family.
So my father was a math teacher and the economics teacher.
KBN. We are really blessed to have you, sir.
And one thing about my father I know is that I remembered there's a school my father was teaching, and they told my father the school were struggling to recruit a CRK teacher and home economics. So, and the school were planning to write work. Some people were trying, they couldn't offer. So my father said, no, I'll do it. He took over CRK, he took over home economics, and most of these are some of the things the students made A, and they didn't even. Wow. So he's a jack of all trades. So, and these are some of the things I learned from him. So they see here I teach everything. Yeah.
That's great.
So I learned this, what I learned from my father. Sam, live here. Yeah, live. Or you scatter my office. Yeah.
No good. As a current, no good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. We appreciate.
Thank you. Our gratitude, coach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles.
Good night.